Welcome to the Kentucky Education and Labor Cabinet Office of Occupational Safety and Health online training resource. This class is presented as a service of the Division of Education and Training. Welcome to the course, Fall Protection Training Requirements. This module will cover the training requirements contained in the standard 1910.30. This standard applies only to general industry, and the complete standard number is 29 CFR 1910.30. But throughout the rest of this module, we'll just identify it as 1910.30. Fall protection training requirements for construction are found in 29 CFR 1926.21 and 1926.503. First, let's take a minute and talk about Standard 1910.28. Standard 1910.28 requires employers to provide protection for each employee exposed to falls and falling hazards. It applies to all fall exposures in general industry settings except those listed on the next slide. OSHA requirements on fall protection is divided into two loose categories: personal fall protection systems, such as fall arrest, and general fall protection systems like guardrails. Personal fall protection systems require the user to take an action, such as tying off, into the system, before it can provide protection. On the other hand, general fall protection should already be in place when work begins, and will provide protection without the user taking any action. Because the types and usage requirements of personal fall protection systems vary widely, OSHA created requirements for training employees in those areas, in what we refer to as Standard 1910.30. Some types of equipment, structures, or situations are not required to have fall protection under 1910.28. These include portable ladders, instances when employers are inspecting, investigating, or assessing workplace conditions, or work prior to the start of or after all work has been completed, fall hazards presented by exposed perimeters of either entertainment stages or rail station platforms, powered platforms covered under 1910.66J, aerial lifts covered by 1910.67C2 Roman numeral 5, telecommunications work covered by 1910.268N7 and 8, and electrical power generation, transmission, distribution work covered by 1910.269G2 Roman numeral 1. These are excluded because fall protection would either be impractical or they are required to have fall protection under another standard. Moving on to 1910.30A1, each employee must be provided training by the employer before they are exposed to fall hazards and before an employee uses fall protection systems. Training must be provided by a qualified person. This qualified person is determined by the employer. A qualified person means one who, by possession of a recognized degree, certificate, or professional standing, or who, by extensive knowledge, training, and experience, has successfully demonstrated their ability to solve or resolve problems related to the subject matter, the work, or the project. Under Section A3, each employee must be trained in the following topics, as well as others deemed applicable by the employer. A3 Roman numeral 1, the nature of the fall hazards the employee will face and any indicators that will help the employee recognize them. A3 Roman numeral 2 are procedures that should be followed to minimize those hazards. Section A3 Roman numeral 3 explains that the employee must be trained in the correct procedures for installing, inspecting, operating, maintaining, and disassembling the personal fall protection systems that the employee uses. Section A3 Roman numeral 4 states the employee must also be trained in how to correctly use personal fall protection systems, proper hookup, anchoring, and tie-off techniques, and methods of equipment inspection and storage. And these should all be specified by the manufacturers of the equipment. 1910.30b deals with the equipment covered by Subpart D other than personal fall protection systems. Under Section B1, employees must be trained in the proper care, inspection, storage, and use of their equipment covered by this subpart. Training under Section B2 is required only if employees use dockboards. However, employees who do use dockboards must be trained how to properly place and secure the dockboard to prevent unintentional movement. Section B3 requires that employees who work with rope descent system equipment be trained in its proper rigging and use. And finally, for employees who use a designated area under 1910.29d, Section B4 requires that they be trained in the proper setup and use of the area. Employers should retrain employees when they have a reason to believe that the employee does not have the knowledge they need to understand and the skills to perform the job duty as required by paragraph A and B of 1910.30. Retraining is required in these situations but are not limited to the following: when changes are made in the workplace and the previous training is out of date or insufficient, when there is a change in the fall protection system or equipment that's being used. Training should be given again when it is apparent that the employee no longer has the correct knowledge, and training should be given again when there is an accident. It's very important to document every training, retraining, accident, and anything in between. All training that is given should be done in such a way that it is understandable. Everyone learns differently. As an employer, figure out how your employees learn best and train them in that manner. Some employees learn better in a hands-on manner. Others may learn better by reading, or by partner work, by watching a simple video, or by lectures and quizzes. Learn and understand your employees, and take into consideration that there could be a language barrier as well. However you train your employees, it is important that each employee comprehends and retains their training because it could save their life. This concludes fall protection training requirements. Be sure to check out more of our free online learning opportunities on our website. And as always, thank you for taking this course.